you start to see companies really, getting themselves into some trouble where they devalue the other elements of the brand.
How difficult is it to convince them that they're making that kind of mistake?
It is hard to have the conversation, but it's possible. What I do know is if you breeze past it and promise ROI from the get-go, you can never go back and have that conversation again. It's a grind-up conversation when you start talking about social engagement and some of those sorts of things. You need to be talking about how you're going to quantify that success in relation to purchase intent. And if it's not going to be ROI, you got to get into that right then.
Right. So I think David mentioned before we started to talk about tools. I think one of the other complexity in terms of this whole landscape of different assets that are in the toolkit is analytics. Right? So it's not like we have one big, well maybe we do, one big dashboard where all the analytics from search and social and email and web analytics all kind of come neatly into a nice little package that tells us exactly how to pulse each one of these different areas. So how do you guys, let's take for iCrossing, how do you talk about the relative analytics from each of these different disciplines and how you put that combination together to be more efficient and effective for customers?
That's kind of a tough one for me since I'm so focused on one particular area.
Right. So if part of my strategy is a mobile strategy within the interactive unit inside of Hearst now, is there a blending of like your data with other data from other aspects of the plan?
Oh, well, yeah, absolutely. But are you asking me how we go about determining, how we go about blending all of that data?
It's a challenge?
It's a challenge, and we actually have people who are very, very focused on that, and that's their field of expertise.
Okay, great.
I think someone else in the panel might be better.
All right, no, Julie, you guys touch it at all?
We definitely touched analytics. Given that Facebook is the primary platform for social games, what the ad platform at Rockview has done is really think of kind of many networks of consumers within the platform. So when we have a really unique opportunity in media because we have users that are putting down their credit card every day. So in the paid element of consumer-facing media, it's pretty astonishing how much money is being run through the platform. So first thing we look at is this specific user that's playing this game. Where are they coming from? What are they buying? What behavior points in the game are causing that purchase? Obviously, we know a tremendous amount of analytics on what ad products they're also reacting to while they're participating in entertainment. And then we can serve through RightRail and the Open API of Facebook, which then gives us a new set of data. So from our perspective, analytics really are, Dave said, you have to start with science if you're going to have quantifiable anything in digital. And social gaming, when people think gaming, they think art. And the truth is social gaming is much more science than art. And so data and analytics are really at the heart and soul of the success of this sector. And I think that's why social gaming is a much more interesting mechanism for advertisers than console and even online casual for the depth of information we know.
No doubt. I mean, what I'm trying to get to as well, though, is this kind of like when search came out the door, everyone said, well, we're going to leave everything else behind, and we're going to drop all of our money in search. So now the new toy is, within mobile's rising, let's shift all of our dollars over to mobile, drop it
If only
down.
that were happening.
I'm sorry?
If only that were happening.
If only that were happening, exactly. And then here comes Zynga and everybody else on the social gaming side, women in that audience predominantly.
Are you asking how do you justify it?
Yeah, I mean, how do you maybe the agency folks, how do you talk about?
We've created a performance analytics group because it's very hard, it's very new to think about how you put all the numbers together and before you do the campaign. So now what's happening is, I'll use their no paid shakingly. But we have campaigns that span that. So for Kia, when we integrated into the All-Star Dunk competition for the Optima, and we literally had the person who won dunk over a Kia into it. So a program like that, it was a huge event on TV, right? So he jumps over the car, the alley-oop is through the sunroof in the car, he ends up winning the slam dunk contest. But going into it, we have search ready, and we have social ready with Twitter, and we're buying the right terms. And then we have make sure the announcers on air are prepping it, and then we're making sure that other celebrity athletes are aware of it so they can tweet about it. So we've got to think about all those pieces. We've got to get every expert to think about their own analytics, so get the best deal across every platform. And then we pull back to a performance analytics level that looks big picture and how it works together. And then the result is 26% increase in purchases after this program, 79% increase in search around Optima after this program, and one of the top trending tweets. So I mean, literally, it's the analytics have to be at the front end where you're saying, how does this work together, and how do we simplify all of these programs so everyone can concentrate on the big picture and then be an expert, and then do they work? And then how do you need that same kind of thinking to pull it together to say, all right, this worked in that case.
So at Meredith Integrated Marketing, our view is usually longer term than a promotion. It's more about a 2 or 3 year relationship that a brand can have. So we have a process that we call progressive profiling, which can take in data from social gaming or another initiative, and it combines the client's data with the Meredith database, which is a really powerful asset, and kind of this ongoing behavior, and we can create a progressive profile so that the next communication or the next series of communications that we're planning can be more relevant.
Right.
Yeah.
We, very similar to you guys, we run a unified marketing dashboard essentially, which rolls, aggregates all the metrics together and can help assess either at a campaign level or brand level what vitality is of all of that, that element. And you guys are making great points and we look at it very similarly. I think there's a problem, and I bring it up for this reason. In digital, we've been saying that everything is faster, cheaper, and more accountable for a long time. We build platforms that make it that way, and they generate a tremendous amount of data. Every micro interaction is tracked and processed. We see it by the second, by the millisecond, by days, by months, and this volume of data is huge. And the value of integrated analysis across all of those different things that have their own sets of data can accomplish an awful lot, particularly with good goal setting up front and understanding what you need each of them to do to get the whole thing sitting together. But it takes a phenomenal amount of work and time to do that. While there are good platforms and good tools that you can use to do part of the integration, at some point an analyst has to sit down and go through that and tell you what it means. And the biggest challenge we have as an agency is in a world where budgets don't get bigger and bigger, and where brands want to put more and more money on things that are directly accountable, convincing them to invest in the data and managing that data and handling the data is very, very difficult until the campaigns get at a size where that is, it's just it gets lost in rounding errors. But particularly when you're trying something out up front, it's very important to think about that and invest in it, because you won't use it unless you put time into it.
I know it's not directly in the purview of this topic, but just the thought just occurs to me that how important, and I know in our agency and how we're dealing with customers, how important it's becoming, but creative messaging. With this whole landscape, my value proposition, how I represent my brand. How important is that today to get that part of it right?
So that it's the thing that powers the web, in my opinion, is content and having relevant content. So it is a balance of science and obviously art, but what powers, I think, consumers online is engaging with content. That content doesn't have to be a story, it can be a tool. Everyone knows it. I'm not just talking myopically about the definition of content, but it needs to exist. I think it's even more important today in the digital space than it's ever been, because there's so many areas to distract a user.
It's the holy grail. I mean, you can talk about the science and the traceability and measurement and all that sort of stuff, but unless that physical interaction between the consumer and their brand through whatever it is stimulate something within that person to go off and do something that's meaningful to you, it doesn't matter. I mean, without the creative...
You can have a great media strategy. You can have all the right tools. If you blow it from a messaging standpoint, it's not going to hit.
And the messaging has got more and more complex because there are so many more tools. You got to think about what that search ad looks like for that campaign, what the tweet looks like, what the Facebook page is like, what the TV
I
commercial
mean,
is like.
how that creative renders on mobile, like you may have designed something for a browser on a that desktop or a laptop or whatever, and then it renders on a mobile device because that's how people are doing that type
So
of
speaking of
stuff.
mobile, Rachel, how important
Well,
is
yeah,
it?
no, perfect. Well, at first I would argue that it is kind of objective and it really, or subjective rather, and it depends on the client because, you know, in some cases you have a client who just cares about quantity. They just care about quantity or they just want cheap leads and that happens. And then if you're lucky, you have clients who actually care about quality, care about building a relationship over the long term. And I think it's the same creative and messaging too. There's a lot of semantics there. You know, it can be, is your targeting really spot on and your message really spot on, or are you drawing your customer into an experience? And it's two really different things. You know what I mean? Like there's careful targeting and messaging, and then there's content, the way we're all starting to talk about content.
So Julie, let me just point this on, it's for you, Julie, but so the biggest, you know, there's no doubt that there's a lot of virtual goods that are being sold on games.
Right.
But now there's this huge shift of the audience, right? It's going to these games. And the kind of the key that has to, the door that has to be unlocked is how do advertisers get in the middle of this? So how important is it to figure out how messaging happens inside of a social game?
Well, I think that's what's interesting to me about this conversation, because we started kind of like creative, the importance of creative, and everyone, or most often when people think of creative in a gaming environment, they really glom onto kind of this contextual relevance. And you know what we're finding is hogwash on contextual relevance. The consumers actually don't care if the messaging is relevant to them as a consumer, right? So we really have seen a very fascinating shift of, if you think of, you know, the gaming as an ad medium, creative in Madden better be contextually relevant, right? It's a $60 video product that costs $60 million to produce, and if it's a Pampers ad, it's the wrong ad. The flip side in a social game where, you know, the consumer is having a primarily free experience, and the message, like